Our first word that we're going to be drawing today is bothered. If you are bothered by something, it annoys you, it bothers you, it makes you mad. It might be one of those things where if you're annoyed or bothered by something, you get angry. Not too long ago, I was bothered by something. I was in my truck, and I was just minding my own business, driving down the road, and all of a sudden, guess what came flying out of my air vent? What? A bee. When that bee came out, it kind of scared me because first off, I really didn't want to get stung. And second off, I didn't know what it was at first. I just heard like this buzzing zzz sound, and I didn't know what it was. Well, it was flying around and around, but as it was flying around and around, it was flying right by my head. I was trying to concentrate on driving. It made my eyes get really big and kind of spaced out because I was like, oh no, it's a bee. It bothered me. I was hoping it wouldn't sting me. It just kept driving. As I was driving, it just kept flying by my head. And it just kept getting closer and closer and closer to me. And I was really kind of panicking. It bothered me because it was flying around me. If you've ever been bothered by a bee, chances are that you ran away. You might have even screamed and said, eek! A lot of you, will scream. But that's something that might happen if you're being bothered by a bee. It's something you want to leave you alone. You might actually say, leave me alone. I'm sure some of you have been bothered by a fly before because flies can be really annoying and they bother you a lot. Think of a time that you've been bothered by something. Close your eyes and think about a time something has bothered you. It might have been a bee. It might have been a fly. It might have been your little sister or little brother. And when we go to draw, I want you to draw a picture of a time something has bothered you. Our next vocabulary word this week is distance. Distance has several meanings, but the one that we're talking about this week is basically how far something is away from you. One time, my husband and I, we're driving. It looks like we have a flat tire, but that's just kind of a bad drawing. We were driving, and we were going on a trip, and as we drove, in the distance, we could see mountains. And they were pretty far away. We could see them because of how big they were. But they were pretty far away. They were in the distance. I want you to think about a time you have seen some mountains in the distance. Maybe you were going into Poto and you could see Kavanaugh, which is the world's greatest hill, the largest hill in the distance. And it looked like it was far, far away. You might have even seen some trees on there. Because a lot of times on the sides of mountains, we'll see trees. And if you saw those trees, you might be like, oh, look at those trees on that mountain up there. You're not close to the top of it, but you can still see it. Sometimes if the mountain's really big in the distance, you'll be able to see snow on top of them. That's what I've drawn here because they get so high that they get snow on the top. They're at a distance from you. They're far away, but you can still see them. Think of a time you saw something in the car while you were driving that was at a distance from you. Maybe it was a mountain. Maybe it was a really big tree. Maybe it was a really tall building. Because sometimes when you go into like Fort Smith or even Little Rock or Oklahoma City, you'll see buildings in the distance. Draw a picture of yourself at a distance from something big like a building or a mountain. Our next vocabulary word is form. Form means to make or shape something. Now, when I think of forming something, a lot of times the first thing that comes to mind for me is playing with Play-Doh. I actually went into Miss Amber's class up in the 3-year-old program, the one where Brett's sister's in. I actually went up there this week, and I was going to pick up my little girl, Briley, because that's where she goes to school. And on their table, when I walked in, they had the coolest selection. They had like red Play-Doh. They had some blue Play-Doh. There was actually some green Play-Doh that somebody had smoothed out and made into like a, I don't know, like a flat. They rolled it out flat. But they had Play-Doh on the table. Well, me, being the kid at heart I am, guys, I picked it up and I held some of the blue Play-Doh in my hand. And it was shaped into a ball. I kind of rolled it up and made it into a ball. And I started poking my thumb in it. And as I poked my thumb into it, something really cool happened. It started getting formed kind of like a bowl. It was really cool because it was shaped where I could have actually probably put some water in it, and water would have held it because I kept pushing my thumb in. And as I pushed my thumb in to that one side, it made that go down deeper and deeper, and it formed a bowl. That's probably something that would be the easiest thing for you to make besides just forming a ball. I think everybody in here has probably taken some Play-Doh in their hand and made it into a ball just by squeezing it around. A lot of you probably enjoy playing with Play-Doh, and it's not too hard to make it into a ball. The next time that you are holding some Play-Doh, I'd like you to try to form it into a bowl, just like I did, by pushing your thumbs into it. Start with it in a ball. You'll start with it in a ball, and then you're going to push your thumb in, and it shapes into a ball. It's going to form from a ball into a bowl. Try that. If you can, maybe draw a picture of yourself forming Play-Doh from a ball into a bowl now. Our next vocabulary word is instruct. Instruct is just a fancy way of saying to teach. It's just a fancy way of saying teach. If you think about what I do every day when you guys are in here, a lot of times I'm standing in front of the whiteboard. I might be writing things like your spelling words. Earlier today I had those cards up on the board, and on those cards we had letters like C, P, and S. We actually had made some letters. We had formed the word A, T, and then we had that line with the arrow and the dot. And I stood up there in front of that, and I was talking to you guys, and I was telling you your procedures. Do you guys remember when I was doing that? What I was doing when I was standing up there, I was teaching you about how to sound out and blend words. I was instructing you. Instruct is just a fancy way to say teach. So all of the times that I am standing up teaching, I am instructing. Think of a time that you have maybe instructed somebody. Maybe you were telling your friend, you know how to ride a bike, and maybe you decided you were going to tell your friend how to ride a bike, and you instructed them on how to ride a bike. Maybe you were going to teach somebody how to do a cartwheel. Maybe you were trying to teach somebody how to dribble a basketball. Maybe you have instructed somebody before on how to play a game. Instructing means to teach. I want you to think of a time that you can remember me teaching something, and I was instructing something that was really interesting. And maybe you can draw a picture of me instructing. If not, you can draw a picture of yourself instructing someone on how to do something. Draw that now. Our next vocabulary word is perform. This one's kind of easy for me. It goes right along with our story this week. We read about the 3 kids, actually it was I think 4 kids, that were learning how to do something in the story. They were learning how to do something that required shoes with special metal plates on the bottom. At the end of the story, they were wearing hats and costumes, and they were performing a dance. And it wasn't just any kind of dance. Their dance was called tap dancing. So the story was Let's Tap. And in that story, we had those kids that were performing at the end. They were performing a tap dance. and they loved doing it. They were all really happy. It was fun, something that they liked doing. I used to have to perform a lot, and one of the things that I would have to do performing, is getting up in front of a crowd of people. You've got a bunch of people that come to watch you, and those people that are coming to watch you are normally happy. They're enjoying the show. I used to have to perform a lot, and one of the ways that I performed, I wasn't a dancer, but I play the piano. So I would have recitals where I would practice, and I would learn a song, and then people would come and they would watch me play the piano. So performing for me when I was younger is something I did pretty often. I would have to get up in front of a crowd of people and I would play the piano. You guys, some of you might sing. Someone here might play the guitar. Some of you may have been to a concert before where you watched somebody perform. Maybe some of you have a friend who likes to perform, and you guys might perform a play. I want you to think of a performance you've seen before where someone was performing. They might have been singing or dancing or playing an instrument. And I want you to draw a picture of it. If you can't think of one that you've seen before, I want you to draw a picture of yourself performing for a bunch of people. You choose how you would perform. Would you be dancing? Would you be singing? Would you be playing a musical instrument? Think about how you would perform if you had to do some type of performance and draw a picture. I bet a bunch of you can think about how you performed at graduation last year at kindergarten graduation. You sang songs. You performed in front of the crowd. Draw a picture of yourself performing now. The last vocabulary word you're studying this week is supportive. Supportive is something that's hard to draw a picture of. It basically means that you believe in someone if you support them. You try to help them. I try to be supportive of all of you guys as you're learning to read, because learning to read is actually kind of challenging. And I know that sometimes it can get frustrating and you can feel like you're not doing a good job. So it's my job as your teacher to try to help you by being supportive. And one of the things that I will tell you is that I believe in you. I believe that everyone in this room can learn to read. I believe in you. I know that you all have the ability to become great readers. And I'm going to support that by letting you know that I believe in you. I'm going to let you know that even if you are struggling, if you work hard, you can do it. It just takes a little bit of effort. And I'm going to be supportive because sometimes it takes you having someone supporting you to make you be successful. And my goal in supporting you is that I have an entire classroom full of students who not only can read, but I want a whole classroom of students who love to read. I want to look out and say, oh my gosh, my kids in my class, they love to read. Look at those wild pigtails. They are all becoming such good readers. And I like to tell Miss Wise and Miss Hall that because they're the second grade teachers and they're always wanting to know which of the first graders are doing a good job learning to read and are going to be in their class. I would love to see each one of you with a book at the end of the year that you have read that you want to share with other people because it was such a good book. And I'm going to support you all the way through the year and remind you how much I believe in you so that at the end of the year, you're able to say, look, I am a reader. I will tell you, I believed in you the whole time, and I'll be there for you. I'll be supportive. Think of someone who supports you. I bet you guys all have at least one person in your life that supports you. It may be me. It may be your mom. It may be an aunt. It could be a brother or a sister. A lot of you might have an older brother or sister who supports you. But I want you to draw a picture of someone telling you that they believe in you. Someone telling you that you can do it. All right?